people like me. You need people like me so you can point your fingers and say, that's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy.
Okay, we'll start with this. It would seem that reigning defending WBA super lightweight champion Gary Russell is set to take on former champion Isaac Pitbull Cruz either the 22nd of August or on the 5th of September in Las Vegas. And those are the only details that are out there. That is yet another fighter that Gervonta Davis won't be fighting, because up until recently, Gervonta Davis's faction of fans, for whatever reason, have been spreading these rumors that he's in negotiations to have a rematch with Lamont Roach, who is now fighting William Zepeda. Spreading rumors that he's in negotiations to run it back with Isaac Pitbull Cruz, who we now know is fighting Gary Antuanne-Russell, and will not be returning to the lightweight division. It would seem that Isaac is trying to win his WBA title back. He lost it to Rayo Valenzuela, who then lost it to Gary. The PBC will presumably be the ones putting on this fight, since these are both PBC fighters. How many cards have they done this year? I think only about 2. Sebastian Fundora's fight with Keith Thurman, David Benavidez's fight with Zurdo Ramirez. Are you sure you want to count that one, since they had to share it with Golden Boy Promotions? PBC's ability to keep their own fighters active and their own fighters fighting has greatly diminished as of late. It's no secret that they're not who they once were. They used to do upwards of 36 shows in a calendar year between their deal with Showtime and their deal with Fox, whereas now they're lucky if they can do more than 5 shows in a calendar year. And no, I don't count the No Limit shows in Australia. No, because that's not actually the PBC marketing those shows to those Aussies. That's No Limit. The PBC have the same kind of arrangement with No Limit that Top Rank used to have with Mr. Ohashi and his Inoue fights in Japan. They would show them here in the United States, but that wouldn't make them Top Rank shows by default. By default. And so the same would apply here. By my count, this would be only the 3rd PBC show the PBC would have put together this calendar year. Maybe I'm missing one. Isaac Cruz sports a professional record of 28 wins with 3 losses and 2 draws, 18 knockouts, having never been knocked out in 33 professional bouts. Last in action opposite the ring Lamont Roach, who he drew with. Was that this year? I think so, whereas Gary Antuanne-Russell, the defending champion, sports a professional record of 19 wins with 1 loss and no draws, 17 knockouts, having never been knocked out in 20 professional bouts. Just about the same number of knockouts as Isaac in less fights. What does that mean? Well, what it could mean is that punch for punch, Gary is a bigger puncher than Isaac, and we know that he's a bigger man because Gary's a full-fledged 140-pound fighter, whereas Isaac, he had to move up there, and since moving up there, he's faced very few actual 140-pounders. Rayo wasn't one. Rayo moved up from 135, and so did Lamont Roach. Isaac actually managed to fight 3 times in the previous year, though with the draw to Lamont Roach and who his next opponent might be, it now feels like the effort to mold him, develop him into a pay-per-view attraction has fallen by the wayside, because I believe that if he does end up fighting Gary, he's going to get steamrolled. He's going to lose. Following his fight with Gervonta Davis, which was a glorified loss, they really tried to push this guy and promote him, but he didn't really develop into a main event fighter, a star attraction. He did headline his last fight with Lamont Roach. Finally. But it took about 4 or 5 years to get him there, and in those 4 or 5 years, he was mostly fighting on undercards, because when it's all said and done, he's an undercard fighter with undercard skills. You could say something similar about Gary Antuanne-Russell, with the difference being Gary never had the promotional push behind him that Isaac had behind him. The situation would have grown desperate for Isaac Cruz if this is who they're going to put him in the ring with, because this is a dangerous fight, and they've been very careful in how they match Isaac Cruz following the loss to Gervonta Davis, hoping that they could get a second fight. But no dice. They never got it. And the best way to describe Gary Antuanne-Russell versus Isaac Cruz is a little train, big train situation. They are both come forward, aggressive, pressure fighters. One is just bigger than the other. Now it feels like if Isaac can overcome this and become a two-time super lightweight champion, maybe then he's cooking with rice and maybe then he can get somewhere. The same applies to Gary, the unloved PBC fighter. He's flown largely under the radar most of his boxing career. He actually has a solid amateur background. He's been in there with some good people, some good fighters. Puello, Andy Hirioka. Comes from a fighting family, the Fighting Russells of Minnesota. From Maryland. The Fighting Russells from Maryland. He's got the namesake, he's got the legacy thing going on. He is a champion. From Maryland. Say he racks up a highlight reel knockout of Isaac Cruz, who's never been knocked out, not even by the hard-punching Gervonta Davis. Well, that would be a nice feather in his cap and give people something to remember him by, something to remember him for, being the first to knock out Isaac Pitbull Cruz. Is this going to be a main event? Is this going to be a pay-per-view? Probably. The PBC ain't got no standards. It's a solid little fight, but I don't know that it's main event worthy, and I definitely don't think it's pay-per-view worthy. But when does that ever stop the PBC? Men's light heavyweight and cruiserweight news. WBC ruling opens door to Benavidez versus Beterbiev cruiserweight title fight. Story that's become sort of a hot-button topic in recent days, and I don't know why, because the fight will never see the light of day. The WBC's intervention in the cruiserweight division may have unintentionally opened the door to one of the biggest fights boxing can make outside of the heavyweight division. As World Boxing News reported this week, Dmitry Bivol's manager, Vadim Kornilov, revealed that a David Benavidez versus Artur Beterbiev fight had been discussed as a logical solution for September, further exposing David Benavidez. The winner would then face Bivol in December after Kornilov confirmed the WBA, WBO, and IBF champion would be taking a break until then. At that time, the bout was viewed as a light heavyweight contest. Recent events at cruiserweight may have created an entirely different route to making the fight happen. Believe me, it won't, because making the fight seems to rely on David Benavidez returning to the light heavyweight division where he just petitioned to stay at cruiserweight and fight for that WBC title. The WBC has ordered cruiserweight champion Noel Mikhailian to make a mandatory defense against David Benavidez following a vote by its Board of Governors. The ruling came after months of uncertainty surrounding the division. WBC President Mauricio Suleiman confirmed the organization received a request. You understand that? The Benavidez's requested that fight from Benavidez's promoter, asking that the Mexican-American star be installed as Mikhailian's mandatory challenger. The order has thrown a spanner in the works at 200 pounds, as Zuffa Boxing's Jayo Pataya was reportedly in talks with Mikhailian regarding a potential fight between them. Those discussions now appear in serious doubt after the WBC effectively informed Mikhailian that Benavidez is his only option if he wants to remain champion. Suleiman's insistence that Mikhailian not fight anyone other than Benavidez or risk losing his title could end those discussions immediately and leave a sour taste in the mouths of both camps. Should Mikhailian proceed with an Opataya fight or simply decline to face Benavidez, the WBC could strip him and move directly towards filling the vacancy. The highly plausible scenario is where Beterbiev enters the conversation. What? They want him to move to cruiserweight? They want him to be the one that fights David? Speaking exclusively to World Boxing News, Vadim Kornilov previously explained that a Benavidez versus Beterbiev fight was on the cards, while Bivol remained sidelined. I heard there were some talks in regards to Benavidez fighting Beterbiev in September 1st, and then the winner of that fight fighting Bivol. This can be something that makes sense, as Bivol will not return to the ring until the end of the year. After learning of the WBC's cruiserweight plans for Benavidez, Kornilov later told WBN, "I have actually just read that Mr. Suleiman of the WBC has stated that Benavidez is fighting for the WBC cruiserweight title next, so I guess he is already out of the question for both." At the time, that appeared to end any possibility of Benavidez facing either Beterbiev or Bivol at light light heavyweight. However, while the division may have charged, the fight remains as viable as ever.
How is that?
If Mikhailian is stripped or walks away from the Benavidez fight, the WBC would need to determine how to crown a new champion, but the WBC's cruiserweight ruling simply creates a different way of getting to the same Benavidez versus Beterbiev destination.
How is that?
Instead of meeting at 175 pounds with a future shot at Bivol on the line, Benavidez and Beterbiev could now find themselves competing for the vacant cruiserweight title.
Well, there's just one problem with that idea. There's already an interim champion up there installed, Mikhail Cieslak of Poland. If Mikhailian balks and doesn't fight David, the World Boxing Council said David would then fight him.
Fight Cieslak for the vacant title.
And the more obvious problem that one fight would kick out more money to Artur Beterbiev than the other, not that he strikes me as being all that materialistic, but the dollar amount we're talking about.
Preliminary reports seem to indicate that the IBA, who have been interested for months in hosting the trilogy between Artur and Dmitry, are ready to pay the fighters upwards of $20 million apiece for the trilogy, and I don't think for a second boxing David in America would get him that kind of money.
The moment is past.
The moment to do this fight was in the interim. While Dmitry Bivol was out recovering from back surgery, that's when it would have been ideal to do it. Let Turkey pay for the fight, which we all know he wanted to, and let the winner get Dmitry Bivol upon his return. The moment is past. What you would be asking Artur Beterbiev to do now is fight for less money while conceding weight to David Benavidez, because you're asking him to move up the cruiser.
And you're asking him to do it for less money, less than he stands to make boxing Dmitry in Russia.
By that reckoning, the moment is gone and the moment is already past. It would be asinine to concede weight for less money than you stand to make staying put.
And that's what I expect him to do.
Key points to hang on to this conversation about a fight that will never see the light of day, which is what I've been telling you all along.
Remember this.
While Jose Benavidez just accused Artur Beterbiev of lying when Artur said there was a plan in place to put them in the ring with each other, Vadim Kornilov's version of the story,
Remember this.
corroborates Artur's version of the story.
Artur, in so many words, is saying there was a plan in place to put him in the ring with David. Vadim is saying the same thing.
The only discrepancy is when it was supposed to happen. According to Artur, it was supposed to happen following the Yard fight, where Vadim is saying it was supposed to happen for this September. But they're both essentially saying the same thing. There was a plan to put David in the ring with Artur.
So who deviated from the plan?
Well, it wasn't Artur. David Benavidez, in the build-up of the Zurdo Ramirez fight, more than once assured that he can still get down to light heavyweight, and he assured that he's still gonna fight Dmitry, and he's still gonna fight Artur, but he's the one who deviated from the plan, no matter what version of the story you go with. Artur's version, Vadim's version.
David deviated from the plan.
It's becoming more and more of an American pastime in the sport to talk about fights that likely won't see the light of day. I still see people argue over who would win Stevenson versus Gervonta Davis. Not that it matters, because they'll never fight, and the same applies here.
The moment is gone, the moment is past, and this fight is never gonna happen. The only reason it's becoming a hot-button topic is because of David's defense team, his defenders.
They know how this looks, and they see what people are saying.
They're listening and watching the videos, stimulating the algorithm.
But it's all about a fight that will never see the light of day.
So who cares?
Anybody really arguing about this would only be doing so from an effort to try to save face for David, and for what? Because once again he skipped out on fighting a top-shelf fighter?
Men's heavyweight news. Rico ranked number 8 is crazy. 3 leapfrogged WBC heavyweights want Verhoeven next.
World Boxing News has spoken to 3 of the heavyweight contenders sacrificed in the WBC rankings to give Rico Verhoeven his dues for pushing Alexander Usyk all the way to the 11th round. The Dutch kickboxing superstar debuted at number 8 in the latest WBC heavyweight rankings. Despite having boxed only twice as a pro, that decision pushed several established contenders further down the list, including unbeaten Ukrainian Andriy Nowitzki, European champion Labanat, I can't pronounce that, and Italian contender Guido Vianello. It's my time.
Nowitzki moved down to number 12 following Verhoeven's arrival. The 30-year-old Ukrainian is unbeaten at 16-0 with 12 knockouts and has built momentum through victories over Alexander Flores and David Zagara. Asked about Verhoeven's ranking, Nowitzki told World Boxing News, "I think it's my time to be fighting with Rico."
Number 8 is crazy.
Guido Vianello was even more outspoken. The Italian heavyweight who owns victories over Arslanbek Makhmudov and Alexis Barrera questioned Verhoeven's position while also praising his performance against Usyk. Rico being ranked at number 8 with the WBC is crazy. Vianello told World Boxing News, "I can fight with him wherever and whenever he wants. Against Usyk, he deserved to go forward in the fight for another round and not be stopped. Now he can fight me." Vianello became the first ranked heavyweight to openly question Verhoeven's position while volunteering to face him.
Many observers felt that the Dutchman exceeded expectations in Egypt. Others remained unconvinced that a single professional defeat should place him ahead of established contenders. But then why did the WBC do it if it ruffled so many feathers? 2 words.
Sanctioning fees.
So here's the thing.
What?
I don't think it's the craziest thing in the world to rank Rico in the top 10 or the top 15 following his performance against Usyk, because he did give a good account of himself, and that does more or less prove that he belongs to some extent.
I would have put him somewhere in the top 15 or at the very bottom of the top 10. I wouldn't have alienated anyone who's already there.
But the rationale is sound. That in doing as good as he did against Alexander Usyk and winning as many rounds as he won, to some degree he proved that he belongs. However, that's not why the WBC decided to do this.
It's the sanctioning fees.
So long as Rico Verhoeven plans to box, and he does plan to continue boxing in this late stage of his combat career, and so long as Turki El Sheikh is interested in financing his fights, the WBC want in. They want a piece of the action. They want their cut. And that's what it all boils down to. It doesn't come down to some need to maintain the integrity of the sport or give Rico Verhoeven his just due. They just want to get paid from whenever he fights.
The heavyweight whose name I can't pronounce also finds himself below Verhoeven in the latest rankings despite holding the European heavyweight title. The Kosovo-born contender, who boasts a 22-0 record with 17 knockouts, made it clear he is open to any opportunity that comes his way. "I'm prepared for anything, whether it's Rico Verhoeven or not," he told WBN.
The comments make it clear that all 3 men now sitting below Verhoeven in the rankings would welcome the opportunity to test the former Glory champion. The WBC has already rewarded Verhoeven's performance against Usyk, while BoxRec has taken a far less generous view of where he belongs among the heavyweight contenders. All 3 would face Rico in a heartbeat. Now, whether or not Rico would take the chance of losing to another contender before a proposed Usyk rematch remains debatable.
Rico isn't here to climb up the ranks through conventional means. He's not here to fight Joe Blow from Kosovo.
I would sooner expect him to do another crossover fight with another known heavyweight like, say, Deontay Wilder, Derek Chisora,
Dillian White.
I don't know how interested Rico actually is in boxing for an alphabet title, making it all the more frivolous that the WBC ranked him in their top 10, when he might never again box for the full world title. They just want to extract sanctioning fees from whatever other fights he has, so long as Turkey is paying.
But I don't think Rico, at 37 years old, is all that interested in fighting for belts. He already did that in kickboxing. If he's here for the money. So is the WBC.